Tammy, thank you very much. We're going four wide. Good morning, everyone. We got to talk about Hockey Canada here. So let's start from the beginning. Story from April of this year. We learned actually just recently, but in April of this year, a woman accused 8 members of our World Junior Hockey team back in 2018 of sexual assault based on an incident in London, Ontario. That civil case was settled by Hockey Canada in 3 weeks. It only came to light recently, but in 3 weeks they settled it. Yesterday in the Globe and Mail, we were shown a window into how Hockey Canada settles this type of accusation. And the report said that they collect $23.80 from roughly 600,000 players and their membership fees across the country to set up a fund to handle claims of sexual assault and abuse. The fund in recent years had $15 million in it. So they are taking portions of fees from 6, 7, 8-year-old kids, putting it aside for this reason. This obviously got a lot of people's attention, including our Prime Minister, who commented on it in BC yesterday. Take a look.
I think right now it's hard for anyone in Canada to have faith or trust in anyone at Hockey Canada. A few years ago, I had my son in hockey. And when I think about the culture that is apparently permeating the highest orders of that organization, I can understand why so many parents, why so many Canadians who take such pride in our national winter sport are absolutely disgusted by what's going on.
Frank Ferragini, how long have your kids been in hockey, and how much money do you think you've spent with Hockey Canada?
I've spent a lot. I'm actually an accredited coach by Hockey Canada as well. So, and myself, I played minor sport all the way through. There's a lot of good things that Hockey Canada does do. There's a lot of bad things that they do. And knowing that a portion of my registration fees have gone towards settling this case is not something that I'm proud about. And there's many things that Hockey Canada needs to correct. Minor sport, there's so many things that we could talk on minor sport that are wrong. And really, this is just one example of one thing that's wrong with Hockey Canada.
Melanie, you're kind of new to the hockey world, and your son. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so he just started this year, and he is really getting into it. My husband played hockey growing up, and so this is something that we knew a lot of this was going on. You heard about it, but then you heard about sponsors pulling out and big names coming out, and then it became in the spotlight. That's where the real issue comes in for me. But knowing about hockey culture and having a young son getting into it, and I'm glad this is all coming to light now, because the changes need to happen now. They needed to happen years ago and yesterday. But this is something that, you know, it's upsetting, it's disturbing, knowing what they're going into. And we've had this discussion with other parents too, saying like, do you know what's going on? Like what they're going to get into, what this is all about. It's not just about hockey, and it's not. But this is where it can change.
Devo, a lot of people inside the game of hockey have fought the notion that it's a toxic culture for a very, very, very long time. What are you thinking right now?
I've gotten yelled at by people online and in person because I've said those words, because I experienced it many, many, many years ago, and it's still happening. It hasn't changed. I've got 2 nieces that play. They just came back from a camp. They play out west in BC. You're telling me that they planned for these cases? You're planning to take money from people because this is going to happen. What are we doing? Like, what are we setting up here? Smarten up, top to bottom, in that organization. That is horrible.
Well, I think the government's going to attempt to make them smarten up, Devo. I agree with everything you just said. More committees will happen in and around Ottawa next week. I'm going to leave it at this. The World Junior Hockey Championship, they're going to replay it next month. It was delayed due to COVID. That's the biggest moneymaker Hockey Canada has. I am never watching that tournament for the rest of my life. I am not tweeting about it. I am not mentioning it on this show. I don't care if Canada reams off 10 straight gold medals. Hockey Canada needs a grenade sent into it from a structure standpoint, and I think it's going to happen. This is an awful story. They lied to people over and over and over again, including MPs recently in Ottawa during a standing committee. And this is not over. This is far from over. And parents out there, if you're really upset at this, as you should be, basketball is a heck of a sport. Soccer is a heck of a sport. Not everything's perfect, but soccer is a heck of a sport. Baseball's a heck of a sport. There's some cheaper options out there instead of playing along with this narrative that Hockey Canada knows what's best for everyone. And I'm going to leave it there because I could say a lot of things here that can get me in trouble. I'm going to pass for now.